Hello. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Isaac Newton Day for me. I love celebrating Isaac Newton's birthday. Happy Festivus. Happy Saturnalia. And for our Muslim and Christian, Muslim and Jewish brethren, it's kind of a neutral time for you, but most of you hang out with your friends, honor their holidays, and treat them with both a mixture of fun, reverence, and peace and love on earth, which is, when I was a kid, that was what this time was all about. I am not a Christian. I do believe in a supreme power. I think that's probably an unavoidable fact if you really delve into the science of this cosmos. In this cosmos, you can't just have things just suddenly appear and out of nothing. This all had to come from somewhere, right? But I don't think that supreme power, that supreme being, necessarily has a penis, vagina, breast, is man, a woman, a series of gods, multi-limbed gods, all these things. This came from something, a creator, but it's not necessarily anything like us. But people believe different things. I will defend the faith of a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist. If you practice the Aztec and Mayan religion, and as some of you have found a way to do it without human sacrifice and continual warfare, you sacrifice chickens and tequila and things, I'm cool with that. I'll defend your right to practice that too. This is America. There shall be no establishing of an official religion or a law prohibiting the practice of any religion or of no religion. That's what this country is about. But the war on Christmas, the worst thing about the war on Christmas, I think this is a battle Christians have lost, and it's terrible. I think the worst thing about the war on Christmas is that the evangelicals and the radical right have won that war. I mean, they've made it to where it is a battleground and not a time of peace on earth, goodwill towards men and women, and whatever. As a kid, especially as a teenager in the 80s, I used to like going over to my friends' houses. I would get these invites, and I would go see them, their families during Christmas time and the holidays and New Year's, and I was accepted by all. They never proselytized to me. They said, you've got to become Catholic or you've got to become Protestant. There were different people that were of different religions within Christianity, and they never tried to proselytize. They never tried to pressure me. They never made me feel in any way an outsider. I was always accepted. And what impressed me about Christmas was something I didn't understand, and it wasn't a religious thing at all. It was a sociological thing, which is that I would go over to their houses, and during holidays they were so relaxed and so chilled. They would just hanging out with them. At Thanksgiving, I would have a Thanksgiving dinner with friends, and everybody would just relax and chill. It was such a peaceful vibe, and I'm like, why is this not happening in my family? And I did piece together that they were all a hell of a lot richer than me. They were swimming in money compared to my family, all right? And that was one thing, right? They didn't have as much survival pressure relative to my family. And whenever we got together, it was almost like a board meeting and a critique session. But the other thing was that, they were all white, right? And they had white privilege they didn't know about. For example, in my family, Turkish people, every holiday, first of all, people would look at you weird for not having Christmas lights up, and they would ask about it and give you pressure. The other thing is, anytime there was a crisis overseas, I remember during the Iran hostage crisis, I was a kid, right after ABC News Nightline, shortly afterwards, a brick sailed through one of our windows and put broken glass over the couch, which I was next to on the floor, and a brick was right there in our in our living room. And I was like, what was that? And Dad understood. He said, oh yeah, they're mad about what's going on in Iran. They don't like Iranians. I'm like, we're not Iranians. And he goes, basically mumbled, well, they don't know that. I mean, the truth of the matter is, they should have. But even had they not, it's not necessary, even if we were Iranians living in America, not like we had anything to do with that over there. That would be like, throwing bricks through the windows of every Italian house because of the mafia and every Irish house because of what's going on in Northern Ireland. Right? It's just, side note, growing up watching TV, coming up as a kid into teenagehood through the 70s, watching television, television was heavily portraying white people as just smarter, more intelligent, more physically capable than every other type of person. And, they were always the lead characters. They were always more charismatic, the heroes. They always got the girl, which was always a white girl, usually blonde-haired, blue-eyed. And, they might have a trusty black sidekick that was sometimes common. You would sometimes see a Latino or something, generally side characters, often just caricatures of people. The Middle Eastern people were always bad. And so, you're like, that kind of eroded that view because I'm like, I thought they were smarter. I mean, more capable. And they can't even figure out that we're not Iranians. And I'm like, wow, they're kind of dumb. White people can be really dumb. That's like a really dumb, colossally stupid thing. Wow. Started to open my eyes. But getting back to Christmas, it was a time when, the people that I hung out with, the families that invited me, they loved me. I loved them. And I could go there and chill with the rich white people who, didn't have bricks thrown through their windows and stuff like that. And it was just a peaceful, relaxed environment that I enjoyed. And, my parents put me in Catholic school at one point to get a better education. And for a long time, I was just like, well, this is all bullshit. And therefore, there can be no God or anything like that. I'm not like that now. I definitely believe in a higher power. But, I don't think that higher power is a Germanic dude with a beard or something like that. I think that higher power would truly be vastly different than any human being or animal-headed god or something like that, all right? So, but now Christmas is so different, isn't it? It's so different. I'm just scared to hang around my Christian friends during the holidays because their relatives are all there, and there was always pressure. There was always the feeling of being an outsider. There is, used to be if you went to a Christmas gathering or a Thanksgiving gathering of your white friends, your Christian friends, if there was a crazy uncle with some bizarre thoughts, or a racist person, the family would be like, look, that's Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob, keep it to yourself. He's our guest. This is Christmas. This is Thanksgiving. We don't do that. And now, I mean, those people just, they have a free reign. Okay? Some of them, quite a few of my white friends since moving to Missouri have invited me over for Christmas and Thanksgiving. I think there was 2 clusters of people. I did one each. I went to Thanksgiving for one group, and immediately the mother and the mother-in-law were like trying to put pressure on me to conform to their thought processes, even though they're like fairly liberal. I also noticed liberal people have also gotten very close-minded and very judgmental, and will even yell at you over a holiday table for not believing as they believe, and certainly it happens with the conservatives. And then other group, I think I went to one Thanksgiving and one Christmas gathering, and just some of their relatives just make me so uncomfortable, and they're the ones that believe in the war on Christmas and all kinds of bizarre conspiracy theories that, contradict themselves in the telling of it. So certainly for me, the war on Christmas was won by these radicals, these evangelicals, the racists, the neo-Nazis, and they have far, far more say and more influence and more of a effect on Christmas. And really, white people, Christians, I'm just telling you, y'all are doing fine. You own most of everything in this country. Most of what you don't own sucks. Like, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want to own the ghetto, even though many of you do own properties there. And I think many of you are just mad because of a lot of BS you've been told. And if you think that people like me and people that are darker and immigrants from overseas are your real enemies, you're so mistaken. Most of your enemies are, grew up in the same type of houses and families you did, and they rule over you. It's really hard for me to not kind of rant and rave and go off, but you've done something to yourselves that makes you just far uglier and threatening and less able to want to engage with you on a deeper level and chill with you like I used to. And it's also kind of funny because this separation of church and state that was instituted was for your protection. Because if you look at the history of Europe, once you establish an official Christianity, it becomes more and more exclusive over time, and everyone else becomes a heretic. And Christians begin burning each other at the stake, beheading each other, making war on each other, razing each other's villages, mutilating and torturing each other. And it never goes in a good direction. It never, ever has. All right? Whereas if you're like, wow, we've got this secular government, you'll never see a country with more houses of worship, particularly more churches. You'll have a block with 3 churches on it. If you go to Europe, it's not so much, and it's usually more of a monoculture where you wouldn't have like so many churches in physical proximity of different types. And that's actually a flourishing of Christianity, whereas this war on Christmas that you radicals have won is headed towards a direction where soon you will all be ripping yourselves apart and destroying you've already destroyed your peace of mind, even though you own a third of a hemisphere physically and you dominate most of the world via your military. I don't know. It's like watching children play with dung in the streets and prepare burgers and sandwiches and pies out of it that they're going to feast on in any minute, and you just know that it's not going to head anywhere well. But yeah, I stay away from you during your holidays. I stay out of your homes more. I talk to many of you less. And oftentimes when I want to talk to some of my Christian friends, it's in a situation where I know I'm fairly safe, right? Where it's like a one-on-one or just 2 people I know really well, and I'm like I have friends. I'm like, hey, let me spring for movie tickets. I like going to the movies. You guys want to see this new sci-fi movie? And we go with them, but then they'll invite me to their house. I'm like, yeah, so-and-so makes me uncomfortable and this particular situation. So, hey, let's do brunch sometimes. Something like that. And it didn't used to be like that in this country at all the way through. I mean, even after 9/11, there was a brief period when everybody came together and then flung themselves apart. I don't know. This country, I love this country. I believe in the idea of this country. I don't like where some people want to take it. I don't like this current state of almost continual hostility. And 2024 is going to be a hell of a year. It's an election year, and all the forces of contention are out there agitating. I just hope after this holiday, and you got New Year's, and you're going to have a big party, and I just hope that after it's all done, you all just calm down, take a deep breath, and say, what's best for everybody, even the people I don't agree with, because you still have to share the space with them. I mean, many of you want to boot people out just for not being like you. Here in Missouri, I think there's more than one candidate said they want to pass a law where if you were born overseas like me, they're going to take away your right to vote. Even though I've served in 2 different branches of the military during 3 different wars, during the Cold War, during Panama, during Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and then later during 9/11 and the global war on terror, where my National Guard unit was activated. I was actually a counter-terrorist, an anti-terrorist in the Marine Corps during the 80s and 90s, right? But according to most Christians in Missouri and their wannabe rulers, I should have my vote stripped from me, or my right to vote stripped from me, and I'm not a real American, and I'm as American as they come. I've stood to bat for this country. I believe in this country. I've injured my body for this country, and I kind of miss Christmas.